When was the last time you actually felt yourself, not your thoughts, not your routine, but you? Life keeps moving around you, conversations, responsibilities, noise, and somehow you're always there, yet never really present. You laugh when you're supposed to, respond when expected, and move through your days like a perfectly functioning version of someone else. And slowly, without even realizing it, a distance forms between who you are and who you appear to be. One day it hits you. You never truly met yourself. You became what was required, what was accepted, what was safe. And now you don't even know where to begin looking. Because the scariest part isn't that you are lost, it's that you don't know what you're looking for anymore. Every decision you make feels like yours. But is it? Or is it just echoes of voices that shaped you? Parents, society, fear, expectations, all living inside your mind. You were taught what success looks like, what happiness should feel like, what path is right. And without questioning it, you followed not because you wanted to, but because you didn't know you had a choice. Now you call this freedom. But what is freedom if your voice isn't even your own? Maybe your greatest prison is not your circumstances, but the illusion that you are free. Sit with your thoughts for a moment and watch them. You'll notice something unsettling. You're not really thinking, you're repeating. Patterns programmed over years, beliefs installed without permission, reactions that happen automatically. You judge without knowing why, fear without understanding where it came from, desire things you never chose, and the strangest part, you never questioned. Because if you can't observe your own mind, you'll never meet the one who's trapped inside it. That emptiness you feel, it's not accidental. It's not weakness. It's not something to distract yourself from. It's a signal, a quiet, persistent message trying to break through the noise of your distraction. You scroll, talk, work, laugh, anything to avoid it. But at night, when everything goes silent, it comes back. Why? Because it's telling you something you don't want to hear, that the life you're living doesn't belong to you. Ignore it long enough, and one day that emptiness won't feel like a void, it will feel like all that's left of you. You run from discomfort, from pain, from overthinking, from silence. But what if all of that isn't the enemy? What if that's actually where you exist? Every time you escape into distraction, you move further away from yourself. And then you wonder why you feel lost. You're not lost, you're just avoiding the only place where you exist. You don't need to find yourself, you just need to stop running. It doesn't feel dangerous, it feels normal. Wake up, repeat, stay busy, stay distracted. You might even be productive, successful, admired. But inside, something is fading. Your curiosity, your emotions, your awareness, all slowly replaced by repetition. And because everyone else is doing the same, you think it's okay. But it's not. Because if your life is just repetition, then you're not living, you're disappearing. Who are you really? Your name, your past, your story, or just layers built over time, shaped by others, reinforced by memory, protected by fear? Strip it all away. And what remains? Most people never ask that question because they're afraid there might be nothing there. And if you never question who you are, you'll spend your entire life protecting someone who never truly existed. Every time you delay your truth to keep things comfortable, you lose a piece of your life. Every compromise, every suppressed desire, every maybe later, builds a version of life that looks fine on the outside but feels empty inside. You keep telling yourself you'll live later, but later never comes. And one day, you'll realize you didn't live your life, you managed it. People say time is passing, but that's not true. You are Every day, a part of you fades, not dramatically, but quietly. Moments you didn't feel, choices you didn't make, truths you didn't face. It all adds up. And before you realize, years are gone, without memory, without depth. Because if you don't consciously live your time will silently erase you. There's a question inside you, one you've been avoiding your entire life. Not because you don't know it, but because you do, and you're afraid of what the answer will demand from you. So you stay distracted, busy, numb, anything to avoid that moment of truth. But it doesn't disappear, it waits. And if you never face it, you won't just avoid the answer, you'll avoid your entire life. That you think time is slipping away from you, but the truth is far more unsettling. Time isn't moving, you are. Every single day, something inside you quietly fades, not loudly, not dramatically, but silently. The version of you that once felt deeply, questioned everything, dreamed without limits. That version didn't die in one moment. It disappeared slowly. One compromise at a time. One I'll do it later at a time. One ignored feeling at a time. And now you wake up, go through your routine, and call it progress. But deep down, there's a subtle awareness that something important is being lost. Not outside of you, but within. You don't notice it during the noise of the day, but in the silence, it becomes impossible to ignore. The realization that you are not running out of time. You are running out of yourself. And one day, when you finally stop and look back, you won't ask where the time went. You'll ask where you went. There's a question living inside you, quiet, persistent, uncomfortable. You've heard it before in moments of stillness, late at night, or when everything around you briefly loses its meaning. But every time it surfaces, you distract yourself because you already know this question is not harmless. It doesn't just ask for an answer. It demands change. It demands honesty. It demands that you look at your life without filters, without excuses, without the comforting lies you've built around yourself. So instead you stay busy. You scroll, you talk, you pretend, anything to avoid that one moment of truth. But the question doesn't disappear. It waits patiently, and the longer you ignore it, the heavier it becomes. Until one day, it's no longer a whisper. It's a weight you can't escape. And if you never face it, you won't just avoid the answer. You'll avoid the life you were meant to live. You've tried to fix the emptiness, haven't you? More distraction, more goals, more people, more noise. You thought maybe something outside you could fill what you feel inside. But no matter what you add, the emptiness remains, because the problem was never the absence of something external. It was the absence of you. Somewhere along the way, you disconnected, not completely, but enough to feel like a stranger in your own life. You go through the motions, you show up, you function, but you're not fully there, and that's what the emptiness is. It's not a lack of meaning, it's a lack of presence. You are missing from your own existence, and no amount of external fulfillment can replace that, because until you come back to yourself, everything else will feel like nothing. Your life feels like it's moving forward, but look closer. It's not movement, it's repetition. Different days, same patterns, different situations, same reaction. You think you are changing, evolving, progressing, but internally nothing shifts because you are trapped in a loop of thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that replay over and over again. And the most dangerous part, you don't even see it. It feels normal, familiar, safe, but that safety is costing you your growth. Every time you choose comfort over awareness, the loop tightens until eventually you are no longer living. You are repeating, and if you don't break the pattern, Your future will just be your past, replayed in disguise. You didn't choose who you became. Not completely. You adapted. You adjusted. You learned how to behave in ways that kept you safe, accepted, and understood. You became quieter where you were ignored, stronger where you were hurt, invisible where you felt unwanted. And over time, these adaptations turned into identity. But survival isn't the same as living. The version of you that learned how to survive is not necessarily the version meant to live freely. And now, you carry patterns that no longer serve you, but you don't know how to let them go, because they once protected you. But what protected you then might be the very thing limiting you now. You say you want clarity, truth, understanding. But if the truth appeared in front of you, raw, unfiltered, would you actually accept it? Because truth isn't comforting. It doesn't validate your excuses. It doesn't protect your ego. It strips everything away. It forces you to see what you've been avoiding. The reality of your choices, the weight of your patterns, the gap between who you are and who you could be. And that's why you hesitate. Not because you don't want truth, but because you know it will cost you everything familiar. Because seeing the truth means you can no longer pretend you don't know it. You feel it, don't you? That constant searching, that sense that something is missing, but you can't define what it is. So you keep looking. In people, in achievement, in distraction, in meaning. But no matter where you search, the feeling follows you because what you're searching for isn't out there. It's something you lost connection with, something internal, something real. And until you stop searching outside, you will never find it inside. Because the thing you are looking for is the one doing the looking. You believe you are in control of your life, but observe your mind closely, and you will notice something disturbing. Your thoughts come and go without your permission. Your emotions rise without your command. Your reactions happen before awareness, and yet you call it you. But what if you're not the one in control? What if you're being driven by patterns so deeply embedded that they feel like identity? And what if your entire life is just a response to those patterns? Because until you become aware of your mind, you will continue to be controlled by it. Most of your life is unconscious. You wake up, act, speak, react without truly being aware. You follow habits, routines, emotional patterns that were built over time, and you rarely question them. It feels efficient, comfortable, easy, but it comes at a cost, because autopilot removes presence, and without presence, there is no real experience. You are not living your life, you are letting it run on its own. And if you stay on autopilot long enough, you'll reach the end without ever truly being there. Take everything away. The noise, the phone, the people, the constant stimulation. Sit alone in silence. What happens? Discomfort, restlessness, anxiety. Why? Because without distraction, you are left with yourself, and that's unfamiliar, maybe even uncomfortable. Because you spent so long avoiding that space, you don't recognize it anymore. But that silence isn't your enemy, it's your truth. And if you can't sit with yourself, you'll spend your whole life running from the only person you need to understand. You say you're tired, drained, exhausted, but what if it's not physical? What if it's something deeper? A disconnection from yourself, your purpose, your awareness? Because real energy doesn't come from rest alone, it comes from alignment. And when you are living out of alignment with who you truly are, everything feels heavy. Even simple things. Because the real exhaustion isn't in your body, it's in living a life that doesn't feel like yours. Not every moment feels important. Most pass unnoticed. But sometimes there's a pause, a shift, a moment where something inside you pays attention. This might be that moment, not because of what you're hearing, but because of what you're feeling. That subtle awareness, that discomfort, that recognition that something isn't right. You can ignore it, go back to your routine, forget this ever happened. Or you can stay here for a second longer and face it, because moments like these don't come often. But when they do, they either change you or they expose how deeply you're avoiding change. You've spent your entire life building an idea of who you are. A name, a personality, a story that feels solid, familiar, real. But what if it isn't? What if everything you believe about yourself is just a collection of borrowed pieces picked up from experiences, shaped by other people, reinforced by repetition? Think about it. Your opinions, your fears, your desires, how many of them were truly chosen by you and how many were quietly installed over time? You say, this is who I am. But have you ever stopped and asked, who is the one saying that? Because if your identity is built on things that can change, then what exactly is constant? The truth is uncomfortable. You are not as fixed as you think. You are fluid, shaped, influenced, and most of the time unaware of it. And that lack of awareness creates a dangerous illusion. You defend an identity that might not even be yours. You protect it, justify it, build your life around it without ever questioning its origin. And the moment you start to question it, everything begins to shake. Because if you are not your past, not your thoughts, not your roles, then who are you? And suddenly, the ground beneath you doesn't feel stable anymore. That's why most people never go this deep. They stop at the surface. They stay within the comfort of familiarity. Because going beyond that means facing uncertainty and possibly losing everything you thought you were. But maybe that's the point. Maybe you are not meant to hold on to an identity. Maybe you are meant to discover what exists without it. One day, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day something will shift, not outside of you, but inside. A quiet realization, a sudden clarity, and it will hit you in a way you can't ignore. You'll look back at your life, not emotionally, but honestly, and you'll start to see patterns, the same reaction, the same fear, the same choices, repeated in different forms. And for the first time, you won't justify them, you won't explain them away, you'll just see them clearly. And that's when it becomes undeniable. So much of your life wasn't consciously lived, it was automatic. You didn't choose as much as you thought you did. You responded. You followed patterns. You acted from conditioning, from habit, from unconscious loops that felt like control, but weren't. And that realization is heavy, not because it's negative, but because it's real. It breaks something inside you. The illusion that you were always in charge, the comfort of believing that everything you did was fully you. And for a moment, you won't know what to do with that truth. Because if your past was mostly automatic, then what does that say about your present? Are you still running the same patterns, just with more awareness now? Or are you finally seeing them clearly enough to step out? That moment when you truly see your life without filters is not easy. It doesn't motivate you. It humbles you. It slows you down. It forces you to pause and reconsider everything. Because once you see that you've been living on autopilot, you can't unsee it. And from that moment on, you either wake up or you continue the pattern, fully aware that you're choosing not to break it. And now, after everything you've just felt, everything you've just realized, the truth is no longer outside of you. It's sitting quietly inside, waiting. You can try to ignore it, distract yourself, go back to the same routine, the same noise, the same version of life that felt comfortable, but something has already changed. Because once you see, you can't unsee. Once you feel, you can't pretend you don't. And that's where the real tension begins, not between you and the world, but between who you've been and who you're starting to become. This moment right here isn't loud, it isn't dramatic, but it's real. It's the kind of moment people usually run away from because it asks something from you. Not motivation, not excitement, honesty. The kind of honesty that strips away illusion and leaves you alone with yourself. And maybe that's what you've been avoiding all along. Not failure, not pain, but the responsibility of truly seeing your life for what it is. So now you stand at a quiet edge. Nothing external has changed, but internally everything is shifting. You can go back, numb it, forget it, and continue the same pattern, or you can stay here a little longer in this discomfort, in this awareness, and let it transform you. Not instantly, not perfectly, but truthfully. Because at the end of all this, there is only one question that remains, one that no one else can answer for you. Now that you've seen it, will you finally choose to live, or will you return to a life that only looks like living?